Hey everybody, welcome back. You see a guitar, but the purpose of the video today is to show you a new amp. And one of the folks, subscribers said, hey, you haven't reviewed an amp lately. Do you do amps? And typically I don't. Just mostly do guitars when I do get new guitars. But I was itching for this Champion 2. You can see the 2 there. Just to see how different this was from a regular Champion amp, Fender Champion 1. And I've had many of the Champions over the years, so I was curious to see what this Champion 2 was all about. So first off, I got the 25 watt one. This comes in a 50 watt and I think 100 watt as well. But this is all I need in the space that I'm working with here. So 25 watts, it has 12 amp settings, it has 12 effects settings, and that's pretty much the amp. I would say this thing weighs probably about maybe 15 pounds, 10 pounds. It's not heavy. The back looks like this. It's got an 8-inch speaker in it. I think what's new in the main difference between this and Series 1 Champion amps is over here. You can see it's got a USB-C connection. Do you see that? Right there on the right of this video, I believe. It'll be right. So that's really the main difference. Here's the on and off switch. There's where you connect the power. Pretty basic amp. Front of the amp has a single, well, I'll go over here, single input. You got a gain knob, a volume knob, and you have a bunch of different voices over here which state that it has classic, modern, British, high gain, and you've got treble, and you've got bass, and you've got modified, which just basically adjusts the intensity of the effects that you have. Then you have the effects knob, which is basic. It says modulation, delay, reverb, and multi-effects. Then you've got a hold button that can speed up the intensity of the effects as well. You know, slow down the echo, speed up the echo type of thing. Auxiliary jack here for Blu-ray, boy oh boy, for putting in music, so you can put background music in here while you play over it. And then you have a headphone jack. And that's pretty much it. A nice cloth front to the amp, Fender in plastic on the front of the amp. These go for $129.99. The reason I bought this is I got it at Amazon from Adorama, and they had it in like new condition for $117. So I saved a couple of bucks. But they're basically they're not expensive amps, $129. It's fairly portable. Okay, let's see what else. So, I went over the clean models, I went over the effects, I went over the models. Now, the models, let's talk about that. Well, first of all, yeah, let me talk about that. Let me put this down for a second. So basically, you get a 65 twin reverb under the classic, a bass breaker 15, and a supersonic 20 under the overdrive or modern setting on here. The British amps are British 70s and 60s. I would imagine Voxes and Marshalls and things like that. A supersonic 22, whatever the heck that is. Then you get some high gain settings, a modded British setting, modern metal, American 90s, ultra high gain, which is very, very fuzzy, distorted sound. So you get a whole bunch of different amps, and then you get your typical echoes and reverb, spring reverbs and delays and tremolos and phasers and chorus, those types of things under the effects. Okay? So what is the main difference between this and the 20, this Champion 20? Well, obviously, 25 versus 20, right? 5 watts. Now, do you notice that? Honestly, no. I have not noticed any huge volume difference between this 25 watter and the 20 watter Champion that precedes this. The USB-C connection on the back, I guess for firmware updates or whatever. Does that matter much to me? No, I'll be honest with you. It's not worth paying the difference or paying more for a new amp versus finding a 20 on the used market. Amps, right? They claim you have more amps and more effects on this. Well, you have 12 amps and 12 effects on the 20. On this 25 watt, they just rename some of the effects and rename some of the amps, but they're basically the same old stuff. There's not much new, in all honesty. Full disclosure. Again, I have nothing to hide. I bought this on my own penny, on my own dime, so nobody's sponsoring me. There's really not much of a difference if I can detect, if any, between this and the Champion 20, other than Champion 2 and 25 on the front panel of the amp. Still has an 8-inch speaker. Still has 12 amp effects. Still has 12 effects, rather. Still has 12 amp types. I don't notice much of a difference, if any, between these two models. What else am I missing here? Okay, so let me just go over it again. So the Champion 20, for example, what their 12 amps are listed as Tweed Bassman, right? You have a Tweed Bassman on this. Tweed Deluxe. Well, you have no Tweed Deluxe on this one. The Champion has the Fender Tweed Champ. You don't have that on this particular amp, the 25. 65 Twin on here. 65 Twin on both amps, 20 and 25. 65 Princeton is only on the 20. It's not on this Champion 225. 60s British and 70s British are on both amps. Supersonic on both amps. 90s Metal and 2000 Metal. Well, now they call it Modern Metal, American 90s on this amp, and Ultra Gain on this amp. So basically, they're renaming the amps, to the best of my knowledge, on this model, the 25. They're pretty much the same with the exception of it's missing the Fender Princeton on this amp, which I like the Princeton, by the way. But other than that, it's identical. They're identical, and the effects the same thing. The effects are the same deal. Reverb and chorus on the 20. Reverb Hall, Reverb Spring, chorus first sweep, chorus fast sweep rather, chorus deep sweep, flanger, delay slapback, delay long, delay reverb, touch wah, vibrato, tremolo. That's on the older model, the 20. On this thing, you don't have a touch wah. You don't have anything that's marked flanger, which is interesting. What you get are chorus, phase, vibratone, vintage tremolo, harmonica tremolo, which is interesting. I don't know what that is. You get two types of delays, tape delay and some other delay. Spring reverb, small room reverb, large hall reverb, tape delay reverb, and then you get modern delay and hall reverb together. Interesting. So again, they're pretty much identical. They're just called different things, the best of my ability. What else? So that's the amp. I just wanted to basically compare and contrast this new Champion 2 25 watter versus the Champion 1, the original Champion 20 watter. If you can save money, in all honesty, on the Champion 20 and find a used amp, and some of them I've seen for $60, $50, grab it, because there's very little difference between that and paying, $129 for the newer version, because I don't think there's many of these used yet on the market. They're brand new. They've only been out maybe 4 or 5 months. Okay, that's my take. Now, I'll plug it in if you want to hear it, which I'm sure you do. Just move this back a bit. got a light on. That's a good thing. And again, this is real time, no editing, so bear with me while I do this stuff, because you're hearing it as it's happening here. Okay, now we'll set it on the first setting, which is the which amp is this? The Tweed Deluxe, it looks like. And we'll just play basic stuff just so you can hear it. Changes to green, which is now the Bassman. And now it goes to amber, which is the 65 Deluxe. Now, when it changes the colors and the amp settings, the volume also changes, because they have pre-settings, I guess, and depending upon how the amp is, you have to then adjust the volume yourself if you want to make it louder or lower, depending upon the preset volume. So you will notice a volume change between all the amp settings on here. So don't get alarmed. This is now the 65 Twin. See? Much lower volume. And it also has a little bit of gain in it and distortion included in it, so you may want to adjust that out as well. Jump in volume, and now we're going to the Bass Breaker or Ball Breaker 15. Hear that? With distortion. I didn't touch the distortion knob. And now we're going to the Supersonic 22. Okay, to the British 70s, Vox, Marshall. And now this is the British 60s. Quite a bit of gain on there. And now this is the modded British. And now we're going to the modern metal. Over to the American 90s. Finally, Ultra Gain. So those are the amp models. Get it over here. We'll touch the voicing down to the original clean. And now I'll let you hear what some of the modulation sounds like here on the amp. That's a little bit of phase and chorus and whatever. Reverb. And this is vibratone. Well, this first was chorus, second was phaser, excuse me, and this is vibratone. Vintage tremolo. Harmonica tremolo. Now we're going over to the delay. And tape delay. And this one here is the spring reverb. And now the small room reverb. And we're going over to the large room, large hall reverb. And this is tape delay and reverb. And this is the modern delay and hall reverb finally. Okay, so that's a real quick and dirty demo of this little Champion 25 and some of the effects and amp settings and whatever. Again, guys, my honest opinion, it's not a revolutionary upgrade over the Champion 20. If you want a little bit louder amp, which it should be because it's an extra 5 watts, although I really don't hear that, buy it. If you want something that's the latest and greatest, it's an upgraded model with the USB-C connector on it, buy it. If you want to save money, you don't need any of that stuff, and you want 12 amp settings and 12 effects settings, and a minimal difference in wattage, probably, if you're getting a 20 watt versus a 25 watt, it's a home practice amp anyway. It really doesn't matter. I would save the money and buy a used Champion 20. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you like these videos, guys, please subscribe. Please, a thumbs up never hurts. And any questions, put them in the comments. And until the next one, be well. See you soon. Take care.